Today is another book review day, and this week I have been reading Darcy Burdock by Laura Dockrill. And this is a children's book, but I chose to read it because of the author. My first contact really with Laura Dockrill was maybe 5 or so years ago, maybe even a little bit more, when she was known as Docker's MC, and she was a spoken word poet. And a friend and I had gone to see another poet that we liked, and she was supporting him. And she just was really quirky, really funny, and just had a really interesting way about her, and I really enjoyed her spoken word poetry. And then I found out that she'd written some books, not these ones. There's one called Ugly Shy Girl, which is really sweet, and Mistakes in the Background, I think the other one's called. And they're both really interesting, like I say, quirky, unusual books. And being in the library again and doing some tidying and some shelving, I noticed that she'd written a collection of children's books about a little girl called Darcy Burdock, and I thought, well, I enjoyed her other things, I want to give these a go. So I've read the first one and I've got the second one waiting for me at work, so I will read that at a later date. But basically, Darcy is a 10-year-old girl, and she lives at home with her mum and dad and her younger sister Poppy, her younger brother Hector, and her little sheep called Lambeth. And Darcy wants to be a writer, so she carries around a notebook everywhere and she writes everything down. And I was automatically drawn into this story because Darcy behaves in the same way that I used to behave. You'd get a notebook and you'd start writing about your life, and you say, my name is Darcy, and my mum's name is blah blah blah, and my dad's name is blah blah blah, and my mum and dad do this, and this is my best friend, and Darcy's best friend is Will. And that also kind of resonated with me because I tended to have male friends rather than female friends, and she kind of suffers a little bit at school because of that, because she doesn't, she's not in with the clique with the girls. And although this is a book written for children, I think you appreciate it more as an adult reading, especially if you were a young girl who enjoyed writing, and you were a little bit different, and you didn't fit into a box. And that's how I was like. And Laura also does the illustrations in the book, and I think you can see on the cover a picture of Darcy there that she's drawn. And here Darcy is in the book. She likes mermaids, but she calls them mermalades, because she likes marmalade as well. It's a strange thing. And there's her brother Hector with Lambeth the sheep. And just on the, I don't know, on the 5th or 6th page, 7th page, there's a picture of Darcy's fingernails, or her hands, and how she likes to paint all of her fingernails different colours. And that's what I used to do. I remember going into Superdrug and into Boots and buying loads of cheap different coloured nail varnishes, and on market stalls, and they turned my nails yellow. It wasn't particularly nice, but I just loved painting each one of my fingernails a different colour because it was so rebellious, and that's kind of how I was. And Darcy is that kind of person where she doesn't really care what people think of her, and she's only 10 years old, and she's coming into her own, and she's learning about everything. And there's a boy at school, Jamie, that is a bit of a bully. She stands up to him. That's where me and Darcy differ. I was the quiet, shy girl in the corner. I'd never stand up to anybody. But this book is basically Darcy just telling you on a day-to-day basis what she's getting up to, what her parents are doing, what her siblings are doing. She talks about, or writes about, indeed, she doesn't talk, she writes, about a couple of people at school. And like I say, as an adult reading this, it makes me think back on my own childhood. And interspersed with these accounts of her day, she writes little stories. And Laura writes them brilliantly because they come across as though a 10-year-old has written them, where some of the words have been made up, or she's tried really hard to be creative, using similes and really strange adjectives to describe things. And it's just lovely because, like I say, I used to write when I was little, and I can imagine I don't think I've even kept anything that I wrote when I was a child, but I just remember having notebooks and just writing things down and thinking I was, you know, this really profound author carrying around my notebook and pen. And it probably was a load of strange drivel, but I enjoyed it. And you can feel that Darcy is the same. She really enjoys writing her stories. She's a poet as well. And again, Laura portrays a 10-year-old writing poetry. Not an adult writing poetry as a 10-year-old. It's quite a strange thing. And like I say, Laura is a really good poet in her own right, as obviously an adult. And she's really, she really can convey a child through her writing, and it is absolutely brilliant. And so like I say, we hear about Darcy's time at school, things that she gets up to with her friend Will, issues she has with Jamie. Her sister is a dancer, and they go to a dance audition, and she tries to run away from home. I've just realised I haven't read you the blurb. Let me read you the blurb. Oh my goodness, I don't normally do that, do I? Right, so the blurb on the back. My name is Darcy. I see the extraordinary in the everyday, and the wonder in the world around me. This is my first book. One day it will be read by people like you. In this book you will find out how to calm an Angrosaurus Rex with some Maltesers. Running away with a reluctant pet lamb in tow leads to sore Nebos. And baby brothers love being dressed up as girls. They don't. They prefer zombie snakes. So it's silly, it's funny, and like I say, it really reminded me of being a young girl and how I used to think and how I used to behave. And you know, there's parts of it that are a little bit sad, with Darcy getting told off for things that she's not to blame for, and adults not listening, not paying attention. But it's a lovely book, and obviously the main text is printed just like that. But when Darcy writes her stories or her poetry, it's, I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's written in kind of like a handwriting, or printed in a handwriting font on lined paper, which is also a very clever thing, because you really do feel that you're taking a sneak peek into a young girl's writing journal. And it is just, like I say, very clever, very funny, and very authentic, because like I say, it does remind me of how I used to think and how I used to write as a child. So I think Laura's done a really good job with this, and I think there are 3 books in the series so far. I'm not too sure. I know, like I say, I've got another one waiting for me at the library, and I definitely know there's a 3rd one after that. So I am looking forward to reading the next one. It's a children's book. It's only small, but like I say, it's funny, it's interesting, it's quirky, it's strange, and it's just kind of a feel-good little read. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this, and like I say, I will be reading the next one. Well, I'll be picking it up from work tomorrow when I go in. So yeah, so that's definitely one that I would suggest reading if you were a young girl who liked to write and you were a little bit odd and people thought you were a bit strange, just like me. So that was definitely a book for me. And if you are interested in any of my other book reviews, I review all different types of books because I'm now branching out and reading things I possibly wouldn't normally have read. Please subscribe to my channel. I try to put out a video every week, either book reviews or bits of my own writing, shameless self-promotion, or writing advice. If that's kind of the thing that you're interested in, then please subscribe to my channel, and have a good day. I will see you soon. Bye bye.